All right, good Wednesday afternoon, everyone. Thanks for stopping by for a check of the forecast. Hope everyone's doing well. It is a chilly day for High Plains standards for the 29th of October. We had a really cold morning. A lot of us were down to or around freezing to start the day. We'll have another freeze tonight. So, those that maybe didn't see a freeze in the southeast, you will probably have one this evening or tomorrow morning when you wake up, which will be really the main story to talk about here over the coming days. It's kind of a really few and far between when we're trying to talk about some active weather here for the area. So this will probably be a fairly short update for you guys. But we've got this upper level low that's continuing to dive into the southeast portion of the U.S. Got a lot of rain associated with that low pressure center. We're way too far away from it to see any kind of active weather from it other than just that north wind and some cold air being advected from north to south. Temperature is 54 right now in Amarillo, 55 in Guyman. That's pretty much where most of us have settled off in the afternoon for our daytime heating. Maybe some low 60s off the Caprock in the southeast and maybe down into Caprock Canyon and Paladura Canyon State Park. Winds are still from the north. Most of them are 5 to 15 sustained. It's a bit stronger as you get further to the east, back towards Childress, Vernon, and Wichita Falls. Now, this looks a little funny. I'm going to show you the freeze warnings, and then we're going to show you what the temperatures are going to be tonight. Now, everyone's really kind of expected to fall below freezing, but these counties out west that don't have any kind of alert for the freeze warning, the reason being is you had a pretty good long duration freeze last night or early today, and that effectively killed the growing season or ended the growing season. And so there's no need to have that freeze warning out at this point in time. Just know that you guys, if you have plants outside that you can bring in or want to cover up, you'll need to do that again. But you did have a pretty good freeze this morning, and that's effectively ended the growing season, which is no reason to run that freeze warning anymore if the growing season has come to an end. Areas in the east haven't really seen a long-term freeze widespread across the counties, and so that's why that freeze warning will continue for tomorrow from 2 to 9 a.m. Central Daylight Time on Thursday. So here's the lows. Again, everyone's really expected to fall below the freezing point, maybe close to it around Paducah. A lot of this is going to be a light freeze, probably an hour or two where you're below freezing. There could be some pockets in here where we fall below freezing for a few more hours. So again, mostly a light freeze tonight, but there could be some pockets, again, especially if you're in the valleys where the winds die off and we get a lot of that cold air to just sink down to the surface. Could be a longer term freeze there in the morning. Here's your computer model for the next 2 days. A lot of sunshine, just some frigid mornings. Make sure you grab that extra coat or the extra layer before you head out the door. You'll get to start shaking some of that off as we move into the afternoon. Thursday afternoon, highs limited to the mid 60s. Probably another cold morning on Friday for Halloween, but a spectacular afternoon. We'll have some clouds starting to build in. A few models suggest that maybe a stray shower could pass through the area. I think we're pretty dry on the surface, so a lot of these green blips you see here on the Futurecast probably will be what we call virga. It's just that stuff that evaporates before it gets to the ground level. Could create some erratic winds, but overall not really expecting any rain for Halloween. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next weather maker. We've got to look pretty far out to see anything active. The next thing that we'll be, I guess, focused on is this ridge of high pressure building in early next week across the desert southwest, and it's going to allow for our temperatures to really rebound and surge as we move into the first full week of November. There were a few models suggesting that this trough could dive south, but there's not very good consensus on that right now, and most of them do take this thing way north of the area. So really quiet weather expected over the next week or two. It may be the back half of November before we have anything fun or of interest to maybe talk about in regards to precipitation chances, rain, snow, winter weather. Again, just none of that looks to be on the table for the next 10 to 14 days. So here's your outlook between the 4th and the 8th of November. Really good probability that will be above normal for those temperatures. Really good probability that will stay dry in that same window as well. So here's a look at your 7-day tracker. We are expecting those temperatures to return to the 70s starting on Sunday. Remember, we do fall back an hour, so those that maybe struggle to get to places on time or chronically late or delayed, you should have an easier time getting to those destinations or those events on Sunday after we fall back an hour. But we will climb back up into the 70s for next week for those high temperatures, which is pretty warm for November standards. It's not record setting, but average high you see there is around 68. So we're going to push about 5 to 10 degrees above that for a couple of afternoons to start next work week. That is all we have for you today. Thanks so much for stopping by. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.